What's up, everybody? Welcome to this bonus episode 3.5. We made it to 3.5, people. We're so close to 4. Let's go. But today is just a quick bonus episode of just me sharing what I'm walking through in life today. And hopefully this helps you to be a better father, husband, and son. And so real quick before we get into it, I just want to say thank you for those that have listened, that are subscribing, that are following this podcast and this series. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited and hopeful that you guys are learning and growing as much as I am learning and growing with the guests that we have on the podcast. But today I just have a quick question for you before we get into it. How do you cook your steak? It's a random question, but I am trying to perfect the steak. And so right now I've been kind of walking through different options. For me, I've been working on a cast iron skillet method. Now I'm trying to grill it on a grill. And so I just want to know what your perfect steak is and how do you cook it, what spices you use or what rubs do you use, and how long do you cook it for. And so if you want to let me know how you cook your steak and how to perfect it the best way, you can comment on Instagram at the Ordinary Man Podcast, or you can go on YouTube and comment, or you can just even send me a text if you have my number, or just let me know, because I want to know. I'm always wanting to learn and grow each and every day, and so I cannot wait to perfect the steak. And I know I would be happy, my wife would be happy, and then what that means is our whole family will be happy. And so if you want to let me know, send me the information, review it if you want, and I can't wait to hear the feedback. But today, into this episode of 3.5 bonus episode is this question: what does it mean to be the real you? And so just the definition of real on Webster Dictionary, it literally just says something that's actually existing as a thing or occurring in fact. Another word is something that's actual or existence, non-fictional, factual, physical, tangible, concrete, historical, something that is there that we can see, something that is there that is palpable and substantial and unimaginary. And so I've read this quote before. Todd Wilson is a pastor in Illinois, and he says this as we walk in a life of Christianity, walking in a life of representing Jesus. It says, real is something you can see. There is a visible difference between real and not real Christians. It's not enough to say you're real. You should be able to see that you're real. And so even this podcast, even the focus and the vision of this is that Acts 4:13, when they saw the courage of Peter and John and realized they were unschooled, ordinary men, they were astonished that they took note that these men had been with Jesus. See, they knew who Peter and John was, but they saw something different in them because Jesus was with them. And that's for us as well. We want to be real. I want to be real, that people don't just see me, but they actually see Jesus in me, in the inside and the outside, living my life, not representing what I have in this world, but representing what I have in eternity with Jesus Christ. And so to be the real you, it's not to be someone you are not trying to be, but being the real you is realizing what the Lord has placed and created you to be. It's not who you are, it's whose you are. We are children of God. Matthew 5:13 through 16 says and talks about, Jesus here is emphasizing to his disciples that their lives are enormously valuable. And so Matthew 5:13 through 16 talks about, you are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it salty again? No, it will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. And so, what does this mean for you and me as the listener, as those that are wanting to grow, to be a better father, a better husband, a better son? It says to be the real you, you should be who God created you to be. So don't cower in your faith in Jesus because you don't want to be persecuted. See, James 1:2-4 says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." 2 Timothy 3:12 says, "In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." So what does that say as the believer? What does that say as you and me walking and representing Jesus in our homes and our workplace? Life is hard. Let's just say that again. Life is hard. When we accept Christ, it doesn't mean that everything is easy and simple and everything goes away, that the problems that you had in the past or the problems that you have now. No, it's just saying, hey, even through this world, even through the barriers or the things in my life, I'm still going to focus on Jesus because I trust and I know that Jesus has my back. Jesus is going to be with me, and I can fear not because he is with me. That his rod and his staff, they will comfort me, right? And so I just want to encourage you. We have a life that we wish will be easy, but with Jesus, it's hard. But at the very end of life in eternity, it's so worth it. And so as men and leaders of our household, we need to be that salt and light for our wives and for our kids, for our workplaces, for our neighborhood, for everywhere and everybody that we come in contact with. Let's add flavor. Let's add light to the lives around us. And so how can we develop and live a real lifestyle? I have 4 steps for you on becoming the real you. 1 is we need to recognize. 2, we need to evaluate. 3, we need to apply. And 4, we need to live it out. And so, number 1, recognize. Another word for recognize is to identify something or to know again. We need to recognize what it is in our lives. So recognize what your life looks like. We need to recognize, are we bringing salt and flavor to this world, or are we taking that out? Are we making something that just needs to be trampled over and thrown away, or are we actually bringing some flavor to this world? Even talking about the steak earlier, what makes a steak better that I'm learning is it's actually seasoning. It's actually salt, because it actually tenderizes that meat. It actually adds something to it that makes it even better, right? Salt, even in that moment too, is salt actually, back in the day, was used to heal things, was actually used to create and kill bacteria in people's bodies back in the day. And so there's that reason of saying, hey, we need to recognize, we need to bring salt back and flavor into this world, because there's going to be healing through your testimony and healing through your story. And so what do people see in your life? Where is God in your life? What do you see? See, we are created on purpose for a purpose. Ephesians 2:10 talks about we are God's handiwork, another word, masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Jeremiah 29:11, we all know this verse. We've seen it everywhere. We read it everywhere. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future. And so let's recognize what our lives look like. Is it focusing and bringing flavor to this world, or is it taking flavor out of this world? And where is God in that? In the middle of that. And then number 2 is to evaluate. Another word for that is to appraise, to assess, to estimate, rate, and to value. See, we need to evaluate what needs to change. And so we recognize it. Now we need to evaluate it. What needs to change in my life? Am I tasteless? Am I a tasteless salt that will be ignored? What do I need to surrender to God? What areas in my life are taking me away from God's purpose for my life? And then also, who are you doing life with? Are they pushing you to be better or pulling you to become worse? We all hear this before. Show me your friends and I will show you your future. And so let's evaluate, let's estimate, let's rate and see, where am I at with the Lord? Where am I at representing him? Where is that flavor? Where is that salt? Where is life happening? And how is that making my life better? But also, how is that making other lives better? But also, at the end of the day, where is God in the middle of that? And so number 1 is to recognize. Number 2 is to evaluate. Number 3 is to apply, to put into practical use, to utilize. And so ask that question, how to walk it out in your life. How can I walk the life of walking with salt and light in this world? How to walk it out. Let's add light back in our life. You see, light reveals things. Light, even on a grill, it heats things. It shows what it actually is meant for. See, when you have a steak on a grill and you're not cooking it and it's just sitting on a grill, it's actually just decaying meat. It's decaying a decaying flesh. It's something that is just going to sit there and die. But when you add heat to it, it actually creates something in it. It actually cooks something. It actually makes it worth its flavor in gold, right? And so let's add light back to our life here. Let's add flavor back in our life. Life is better with people around you. We are better together. Thank you, High School Musical, because we are all in this together. Men need accountability in their life. Who do you have around you that can call you out but lift you up? I've heard this and I've taken this to heart is you are as sick as your secrets. Proverbs 27:5-6 says, Better is an open rebuke than a hidden love. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. So what does that look like for you? What does that look like for me? We need to have people in our lives that will call us out. We need to have men in our lives that will say, hey, Tim, what's going on? You seem off. Or, hey, Tim, how are you doing in this area of your life? We need to have people that we can open up and share life with, to do life with together, and to see. We talk about this in small groups at the church that I attend, and about small groups is that small groups is a place where we can take the mask off and actually be who we really are and be real, and have a group around us to say, hey, I want to pray for you. I want to love on you. I want to be accountable for you, to see the better you, what the Lord has created in you to be, and that you can thrive and be better. And so I encourage you, let's write out a vision for your life, write out a mission statement for your life and for your family, and just even share that with another man, a group of men, to saying, hey, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. I need help from getting from point A to point B. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision or revelation, the people are unrestrained, but happy is the one who keeps the law. And so number 3, let's apply this. Let's use this practically and saying, man, to be the real you, I need to apply this in my life. I need to be the salt and light in my life. And then the last one, number 4, is to live, or to be alive. So to begin to live out the real you. So what is the Lord sharing with you? How do you want your family and friends to see you? See, life is short. We all know that. We have 70, 80-ish years in life, and we might feel like it's going slow sometimes, but it's actually going fast. But I know in my life, I can sometimes say, man, I'm so busy, I can't do this. I'm so busy, I can't do this. But life is short. We all have the same time in a day. We all have the same time in a week. We have 168 hours to make a difference in this world. What are we doing with it? What are we making this time and effort for in our lives? Are we just on our phones going through Instagram? Are we just complaining? Are we just working a job that might not bring any life to anything? Or are we actually making time for what the Lord has for us to represent Him well, and to live a real life and a real opportunity of saying, hey, I'm going to represent Jesus through my family, represent Jesus through my workplace, represent Jesus in everything that I do outside of the house, inside of the house, outside of the church walls, inside of the church walls. And so let's be men God created us to be. Let's stop comparing and move forward and live a real life. Steve Jobs, the one and only, said this, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. So be the real you. Let's not try to be someone that we're not. Let's not look at somebody else's Instagram and say, man, if I just did this, I can be somebody. Or if I just did this, that's somebody in my office, I can be somebody. If I had this boat, or if I had these golf clubs, or if I had this, and that. No, let's stop wasting our time and living a life that the Lord has placed in you. The Lord has you in the right place for the right time. So here is the challenge. What are you doing about it? So let's be real and see what the Lord does through you. Let's be salt and light at home. Let's be salt and light at the work. Let's be salt and light to our neighborhoods, salt and light to the grocery stores, to the banks, to the gas stations. And let's remember, to be the real you, we need to recognize, evaluate, apply, and live. Remember, real is something you can see. There is a visible difference between real and not real Christians. It's not enough to say you're real. you should be able to see you're real. And so, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode 3.5 of just saying, hey, let's be the salt and light that we're created to be. Let's add flavor. Let's add heat. Let's add a process of saying, look what Jesus is doing in my life and represent him well. Let's recognize, evaluate, apply, and live. We'll see you on the next month's episode of the Ordinary Man Podcast. Much love.